Welcome back again, and you'll be glad to know that after the brutality of the last video, Andrew has survived and is still with us. So, we're going to continue looking at some of those concepts we started to look at last time when we talked about getting in close. And we're going to look at a very important principle today called the pivotal. And what I mean by that is as soon as we end up in a situation where our canes cross, we have a pivot point. Now, on a simplest version, if I was to strike out and Andrew was to block, there's this point here where our sticks strike, sticks make contact. This forms a pivot point, yeah? Now, in fairness, a lot of the time, we may then both just come straight back from that, and the pivot is lost instantaneously. But theoretically, at the point where we have that contact, if Andrew doesn't move his stick, I can move around his stick using it as a pivot point. Equally, if I don't move my stick, Andrew can move his stick around the pivot that's created by my stick. None of that's really going to happen. However, it comes to play once we get in closer. So if I come in with my strike and my follow-in, at this point here, I have a pivotal, but I've now got both hands on it. So I can now swing quite easily round. Now, if Andrew had brought his other hand up to block this as well, he'd have a much more solid block, and I'd now have an even better opportunity for pivotal. Unfortunately, so does Andrew. Yeah, he also has that opportunity for pivoting. So, there's a lot we can do with that. So I'm going to look at some of the options we've got. And this can arise in numerous different ways. It could be Andrew was taking a swing from my hand. Which hand are you going for? This one, okay. Taking a shot with the hand, I might be swinging it out the way. Coming in to block, Andrew's coming back to normal guard. We end up in close. But again, I've got that contact and pivotal. And I've got to realise as soon as I have it that I can start doing stuff. Now, on a really simple level, if we get back to that same kind of situation here where we have this cross chest thing here, I can use this to start delivering attacks. Kidneys, head. Not really kidneys, more stomach, but yeah. Boom, 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 boom. And I can use that just to slam as hard as I can, putting my body weight into it either side of that. And that creates quite a lot of damage and impact very quickly. So I can do this where I kind of come in with a big attack, get in, boom, 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 boom. I can really start driving my opponent back very quickly. Now, I'm being very nice and not actually delivering these at force, but with power coming in, you'd be looking at cracked skull and broken ribs very quickly off those kind of attacks. So I can use the pivotal in that way. The other way I can use it is if the pivotal end, I can move the pivotal off the center line. If we're here, the pivotal's very much in the center. I can move this, for example, by bringing my hands closer together here, and the pivot is now very much towards Andrew's hand here, rather than being in the center. Probably a bit hard to see, maybe if we turn face this way. So rather than the contact being here, I'm sliding down so the contact is now very much off to one side. And that allows me to start doing things, such as in our video last week, I'm going to drop this underneath, hook here, and we're back into our stirring the cauldron that we were looking at last week. Okay? I can look at other options, which I believe we alluded to last week. If I was to get inside and get my hug into a knee here, the cane naturally rests across the back of the neck. The other side of it, if I hook that, no, keep your hand where it was. If I hook it underneath that wrist, I've now got a position where I can push down against the neck, push up against the wrist, and then just bring my body above and press everything down, and my opponent will hit the deck. Yeah? Again, please bear in mind, this is a spiky stick. So all of those spikes are into the back of my opponent's neck, coming up into the wrist. Other options I've got would be if I wanted to get in again, if I can get in some way, I can move up, I can hook from the other side again, and I'm just looking at that kind of stripping the cauldron from the other side, except this time I'm keeping my hand, I've slid my hand up to cover his. This means he cannot let go of the stick. Now I can turn that into a wrist lock, and I have 3 opportunities to strike. I can also look at doing that from the other side. So if I was attacking here, if I bring this over the top and hook here, I can get a really nasty lock between his wrist and his own cane. And he can decide whether he's letting that go or twist over. I can also look at doing things where if I get into the pivotal, I can bring the whole thing up. He's expecting this to now start trying to strip the cane here, and all of his attention's up here. He's worrying about that, so I'm going to use the pivotal against his cane to swing up into his stomach whilst he is concerned about the pivotal happening up here. So I can use this contact of the stick and this concept of pivotal to change rapidly what I'm doing, to lead me into kind of locks and throws and controls, and also just to apply brute force. So hopefully that just gives you some ideas to play around with that kind of pivotal moment when things connect. We're going to look more at the brutality and just beating our opponent down in our next video. So we'll hopefully see that for next week. You'll probably see Andrew wearing a mask for that one. And we'll catch you next week. Take care.